Hello, welcome to Oxford Heirlooms. Today we're going to begin to attach the body of the bubble to the yoke of the bubble. But first I need to sew some entredot on here because I want my seam to have entredot at the seam. Now normally, I like to use, this batiste that has the little curved edge on it, but it only has like 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. And this particular pattern, along this one seam of the pattern, it's got a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I have to be careful about that because that's going to make a difference when I set the sleeve in. So I've got some wider entredot that has a 1 inch seam, or has a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to cut a piece a little bit longer than the bodice, or than the yoke, excuse me. And using a straight stitch, I'm going to go ahead and sew this on, but I'm going to pin it on first because, I don't know why I'd like to pin entredot onto the fabric, but I do. Okay, so this will take me a minute to get this pinned on. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got that pinned on. So using a straight stitch, I'm going to sew this entredot on, and then I'll go to the ironing board and press my entredot seam to the inside and come back and zigzag. But I'm going to do a straight stitch. I'm going to lower my needle to make sure I'm right next to the entredot ladder and not piercing it. Okay, there we go. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Take my pins out as I come to them. Okay, so let me go to the ironing board and I will iron that entredot seam to the inside of the garment. Okay, so I've been to the ironing board. I'm going to set my sewing machine to a zigzag and the appropriate stitch length and width for sewing entredot, and then I will zigzag this entredot in place, making sure that my needle goes into the fold of the fabric on the left and into the entredot ladder on the right. Okay, this will take me a minute to get this done. Okay, I've got that zigzagged in place. Now, before I go through and trim my back piece off, I can still see the halfway mark. So I'm going to go ahead and mark my entredot at the halfway mark because I'm about to trim that excess batiste off using my specialty scissors. Okay, this will take me a minute to get this all cut. Okay, so I've got my entredot sewed on to the front bodice piece, and I think what I'm going to do, since I'm working with this wide entredot right now, and I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on the back bodice also, I'm going to go ahead and sew a piece of entredot to both of my 2 back bodice pieces, but that'll take me a minute to do. Okay, so I have my entree sewn onto both of the back yoke pieces and the front yoke piece. So in the next video, we will attach the body of the garment to the yoke of the garment, and we will be positioning our pleats going along the front edge. But that'll be in the next video. But using 1/2 inch entree on the 1/2 inch seam was what we were doing today. Thank you.